Hi there, welcome back to engVid with me, Benjamin. In today's lesson you are going to learn or revise 50 fantastic words that will help bring your language to life. Yes, we are going to be describing through the senses. So this will just make your language and your conversation more dynamic, more interesting as your listener starts to imagine your words more clearly. We're going to start off with the sense of smell, sometimes called the olfactory sense. How can I talk about it? You could use a phrase such as the smell of, okay, the smell of something was, the smell was terrible, disgusting, fantastic. It smelt of. What did it remind you of? It smells of old fish. It smelt like a kebab shop. I don't know. Let's look at some adjectives that you could use connected with smell. Acrid, okay, meaning bitter. It had an acrid smell. Okay, so this is quite an unusual word here. Okay, think sort of lemons, things like that, but even more powerful. A pungent smell. Pungent, probably not going to be used in a good way. A pungent smell is one that sort of takes you by surprise in a quite unpleasant manner. Foul. Again, a word that is going to suggest a bad smell. A foul, a disgusting smell, a foul stench. That's another good word to use. So a stench is a really strong smell. Fragrant. You can probably spot the word fragrance. So this is, aftershave, perfumes, they are all fragrances. Fragrant, they're the adjectives. This is more pleasant. This is a nice smell. A fragrant smell of summer flowers. Okay, it's quite innocent. Fresh. So we're thinking straight out the shower, a fresh smell. This is something that goes, ooh, yes, I feel alive and awake. This fresh smell makes me feel like I'm walking through fields. Okay, it's one that sort of wakes you up. Musty, quite the opposite with musty. This is to do with mold. So something that's been lying in a cupboard for a very long time. Maybe it's got holes in because it's been eaten by moths. Yes, a very old, musty smell. Noxious. Now, this is often connected with chemicals. So it's a smell that you don't want to smell because you know that maybe it's a pollutant, it's quite dangerous. A noxious smell. Rancid. Great word, rancid. Again, meaning disgusting, horrifically awful smell. Sharp. Quite similar to this word acrid here, a sharp smell. It's one that, it's not particularly nice, but it catches you by surprise. And then a sweet smell is one that's nice. The sweet smell of Mama's home cooking. Okay, on to sound. The clash of drums, dee-dee-dee-dee. Can't stop thinking of Joseph and the amazing Technicoloured Dreamcoat. Technicoloured Dreamcoat, so that's going to be to do with sight, isn't it? More of that in a moment. Sound, how do we talk about sound? The sound of the trumpet. It sounded like a full choir in good voice. Right. Blare. So this is like a kind of a wall of sound. The blare of traffic made the man feel sad. Yep. The blare of traffic. The blare, so as I said, like a wall of sound. Chime, we think of bells, chiming, church bells, chiming, kind of ringing. Chirp, this is a sound that perhaps a bird would make. Chirping away, chirp, 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 chirp. Chuckle, this to do with laughter, the chuckle of laughter, the chuckle after the joke. Lasted a long time. He chuckled. So there... it's a noun, a chuckle, but you can also use it as a verb, to chuckle. Clash. We're thinking of drums here, the clash of the drum. Okay, we imagine that hi-hat going. a clash of drums. Okay, but also you can use this word to mean to fall out with someone, to argue. If you clash personalities, it means you don't get along well with someone. Crunch. I think of food with this word, the crunch of crisp toast. He crunched into his breakfast cereal. Or maybe you're walking on gravel, the crunch of gravel underneath him. So it's sort of imagine things sort of going together. Crunch, crunch. Okay? Howl. Maybe a dog or a wolf is going, howl. Okay? So it's slightly onomatopoeic. The sound and the meaning are quite close together. Howl. Yep. It suggests what is happening with that word. Rumble. Your stomach can rumble. Okay, if you're really, really hungry and your tummy is empty, you can sometimes hear your tummy going, making weird noises. Or maybe the thunder is rumbling in the distance. It's kind of a low, deep sound. Sizzle, something in the frying pan. We've got steam coming up and you can hear that sort of cooking going on. Sizzling. 6 sizzling sausages. More of that, well, those kind of ideas in my vocal warm-up video. Slurp. This is to do with drinking. Really annoying habit, try not to do it. Slurping tea, okay? On we go to taste. The taste of India. It tasted astonishingly good. Right, so 10 more words to talk about taste. Acidic. We can see the shorter word in there. Acid. Yeah, we think of acids and alkalines. Acid. Do you want to be tasting something acid? It doesn't sound that healthy to me. Acidic. Not a very nice taste. A little bit like the smell. Acrid, meaning bitter. A biting taste. So we're eating perhaps, I don't know, a piece of fruit, an apple, and it's got a biting taste. I'm meant to be biting the apple, but the apple is biting me. So it's like, ooh, this taste, I don't know. It's quite a strong taste if the taste is biting you. Similar spelling, but different. Bitter. Okay, again, connected with sort of lemons, acidic type things, a bitter taste. Now, this has 2 meanings. So we've got the taste, but you can be bitter about something. I'll write that. If you are bitter, it means you are upset. You are angry about something. Okay? So obviously it's not a particularly good taste to have leaving in your mouth. Full-bodied. This is most closely associated to wine. Okay, if it's a full-bodied wine, then it's got a good, complete taste. Okay? Rank. Rank is not a very nice word. If it is a rank taste, it tastes disgusting. I'm sort of thinking of like dead animals or something. Sugary. You can all see the word sugar in there. If something is sugary, it tastes of sugar. Succulent. So this is really tasty. It's moist. It's just really enjoy eating this. Succulent. It's satisfying to eat. A succulent steak. You might be a vegetarian, but succulent goes well with a steak because of the repeated S sound. Tangy. A bit like bitter, but sort of a pleasant tang. A tangy taste is manageable. It's it's got flavour. A tangy lemon cheesecake is, it's not plain. It's got some flavour, but in a good way. Zesty. Again, this is positive. If you have a zest for life, then you have a lot of energy. So zesty is full of kind of flavour, full of taste. But again, I'm sort of associating it with a lemon. It's that kind of fresh, biting taste. Zingy. Quite a strange word. I'm not quite sure why I've included this because it's not one often used, but similar to zesty, a zingy taste if you just want to vary your vocabulary. Touch. Touch, yeah? The touch of something, the feel of something. It felt, okay? We're thinking what it feels like through your body. The sensation of. Sensation means feeling, the feel of. Another 10 words for you. Damp, meaning wet. Yep, it felt wet underfoot. Okay, it's been raining, it's damp. Limp. The feel of his or her handshake was limp. A limp handshake. Not good. Rough. Okay, it felt too rough. If you've got a rough handshake, yeah, and your hands kind of go, okay, rough. His hand felt rough. It's kind of been weathered. He's been outside. It's got, you know, the opposite of smooth. Slimy. We're thinking monsters here. We're thinking goo. Slimy. A bit like jelly. Sticky. Like sellotape, yeah, when you can't get your hand off the sellotape, it's sticky, it attaches to things. Velvety, very smooth. This is a very positive adjective, velvet. Okay, so that expensive, beautiful material, if it feels velvet, it's very smooth in a good way. You could also describe it in more things than touch. It has a velvety taste. Or sound. He had a velvety voice. Smooth, most of you should have come across before. Smooth as a young person's skin. It's really, you know, it feels nice. It's smooth. It's not it's not like sandpaper. It's not rough. Frosty. So frost. In the morning, you go outside. It's really, really cold. If something feels frosty, it's very, very cold. Feathery, we think of the feather. So if something is feathery, it's light, and light as a feather. It's feathery, it's nice and light. Abrasive, here we are thinking of the rough idea again. If something is abrasive, it's dangerously rough. Okay, an abrasive surface, I'll write that for you. Abrasive surface is one where, you know, if you go along like that with your hand, you're going to lose your skin. Okay, I've got 10 more words for you. Are you ready to learn 10 new words about sight? Sight, okay, what we see with our eyes. This is why I've tried to use more colour to appeal to how things look. It looked beautiful. It looked fantastic. It looked like a beautiful sunset. All I could see was cars, fog, Describe. The sight of the Eiffel Tower was jaw-droppingly impressive. 10 words. Angular. So with these words, I've tried to express their meaning with how I've written them on the board. If something is angular, then it's got sharp edges. Angular. So the shorter word would be angle. So an angle in maths is, you know, measuring the angle there. It's all about funny lines and shapes. Angular. The building had an angular appearance. Distinct. If something is distinct, you recognize it. It's clear. It had a distinct shape. The car was distinctive in its design. Blushing. If you blush, then you go all red because you are embarrassed. He looked like he was blushing. Yes? Okay. Filthy means very dirty. His car was filthy. Okay? It's just covered in mud. Gleaming. If something is gleaming, then light is shining off it. Very similar word here, glowing. You could say, she was glowing with good health. It means she just looks very healthy. Grotesque means disgusting, okay? But it's also sort of exaggerated. It's like a kind of a big, weird, theatrical pantomime. So it's a big disgustingness. Murky. Murky is like something that lies down in the underworld. It's kind of dark and forbidden and not very clear. It looked all murky, okay? You kind of think of water, the murky water. You certainly can't see your feet in murky water. Rotund, this is all one word. I just made a bit of a boo-boo there. Rotund, if someone's quite fat, if they're quite round, okay? Can you see this word here? Can you try and work out what that says? Let's join the dots together. Worked it out? It's all one word. Translucent means see-through. Okay, so I've just presented to you 50 words to describe through your senses. If you can start using these words, then people will listen to you and they will imagine what you are saying much more clearly, because you will put pictures, you will put sounds, you will put feelings into their mind with these words. Have some fun with them. Have a go. Try them out today. Why not do the quiz to make sure that you have fully learnt these words and can go out and play. Until next time, goodbye.